and welcome to my channel. I am Andrea and this is Beyond the Pink Door. So this is episode 11 of my sewing vlog. I can't believe this is 11. I think I missed 2 weeks, so it should be the 13th, but anyway, I've done my best. So this week has been pretty productive. I've made quite a few things this week. I made this top. So this is one of my favourite tops. It's the one with the 2 ruffles on the sleeves, and it's a free download from the Love Sewing magazine. It's from volume 72, so if you have the magazine you have the instructions and the measurements and everything, and then you can go and download the pattern. So it's a Sew Girl pattern. I love it. I've made, I think this is possibly my 5th one. Now I changed it a little bit in that I did a slit opening here at the front and put in a little tie. So basically, usually there's a button at the back of it to close. So I made the back on the centerfold, and then on the front I cut down a slit and I made a facing for it and then put in the little tie. So I quite like this, just for a little change. And if I feel like my Valerie dress, where I sort of feel, you know, sometimes I just feel a little bit kind of tied here, I can open it, so that makes it that little bit looser on the hot days. So it just comes to there, and I've got it on with a pair of shorts. So yeah, this is really lovely. I really love this sleeve, and when it's in a viscose it falls lovely. Now I did make it in a cotton lawn a while ago and it made the sleeves very flamenco feeling. But yeah, I think this is lovely. I love this. And I also recovered a chair in my kitchen. Now this has been on my list, I think, since the beginning of everything. I've just wanted to recover this chair. So the chair is originally a leatherette pleather chair. It's been in the kitchen and the dogs love the chair. So one of them has a habit of sort of clawing to nest. So she basically pulled all the leather off it. And I was actually going to throw it out last year. There was a second chair. I actually threw that one out. But yeah, one of the little dogs loves sitting in the kitchen on the chair. So until I find a replacement, this one keeps getting covered. So I covered it last year and I had to make a pattern myself for covering it, and it took me quite a while to do it, but it was worth it. So it's lasted a year. Now it was well in need of covering, absolutely. It was in dire straits. So I got around to doing it this week, and it was a really fast job this week because I just took off the old cover, took it apart and use that as a pattern for the new one. So it was a really quick job. So I'll pop in a before and after, and don't judge me on the before, it's so bad but it looks $1 million now. So this was just fabric that I had literally in my shed, because I used to have an interiors and curtain shop, and I have a lot of fabrics left over from that shop. We used to get a lot of lovely fabrics for our window displays, and I used to always choose stuff that I liked, obviously, and I stashed them up for myself. So we used to get some nice, say, 3-meter pieces. So the 3 meters is plenty actually it just about covers the chair. And then there's a foam seat, and I covered that in a coordinating fabric. Now I covered it originally in a lovely fabric that had like a cream colour in the background and some florals on it. And it, as beautiful as it is, I just took it off because it's just not practical for the dogs. So it's going to be the posh cushion for when I have guests. So I put on a more practical colour for the dogs. Now I did it in such a way that it's just stapled just underneath, and I didn't have to put many staples in it. So in theory I should be able to take it off and wash it and then put it back on again, obviously. And that's the actual outside cover of it. I didn't do such a great job on the other one last year, so I wasn't able to do that, but yeah, really pleased with it now this time. So it flew together and it looks fabulous, and the dogs love it, of course. And the other thing I was doing this week was I was making my daughter's denim jacket. Now I filmed a little bit a few days ago when I started that, so I'm going to pop that in now, and then I'm going to tell you about how I got to this point. So I'm just preparing to make my daughter her denim jacket. So this is the Stacie jeans jacket. Here it is. And it's a nice fitted waisted denim jacket. The smallest size that I have in the pattern is a size 8, and I made her a dress out of 4, which was perfect, but I think the 6 is actually going to fit her better. So what I've done is I've obviously printed out all the pattern pieces. You have a sneak of them here behind, and I'll just show you my thought process this morning on what I'm going to do. So here is her mannequin that I've done up to her size, and her dress is on it. And I have pinned all the pattern pieces together, and I'm just doing kind of like a little assessment of the pattern. Now, what I like about the Style Arc patterns is that on their pattern pieces, here's the collar for example, they have a dotted line around the edge, and that shows you the seam allowance for each piece. So I really like that because it really does my head in to go to patterns to find out what their seam allowances are. So I learned many moons ago on the big 4 patterns, and they were always 5/8 of an inch. So, you know, I never had to refer to it, but with all the different indie patterns, they all seem to have like different seam allowances, and sometimes I'm caught out, and sometimes I find it really hard to find the actual seam allowance on the pattern. So I love a visual. I love to look at this and go, okay, great, I can see the seam allowance. And what I do like is that the seam allowance on different parts of the pattern are different, which makes complete sense as well. So say you can see here on the different seams that there's the dotted line, whereas out here for the facing it's less. And then that obviously matches up to the facing piece, which has a little bit less, and the collar has a little bit less. So yeah, I really like that. Now I know their patterns are very sparse instruction wise, but I don't mind that either because I like the way they've done all their notches and again their seam allowances. And if I do something like this, I can see exactly where everything is going to match up. I used to love playing with the little cardboard things as a child. So you had all the different cardboard pieces and you cut the little notches and you stuck them all together and they all fit. And I kind of think that the Style Arc patterns are quite similar to that. So they have their notches there and they always match up, like they match up really beautifully. So they're really well drafted patterns, but their instructions are difficult. But this works for me. Pin it all together. I can see here, like with the collar, that there's a notch here. There's one on the shoulder, there's one on the centre back, and then there's the matching notches on these pieces. And if I walk it around this, it works perfectly. So anyway, back to the jacket. So it's lovely and waisted. The panels are really nice. I really like this. And because the panels are so waisted, it's going to give a lovely shape on this jacket. This, as I say, is the size 8. And I kind of feel on this, it's actually not fitting too bad. I've been doing a little bit of like pinching and just looking, and I kind of feel that if I take it in just out the side seam, I think it's actually going to fit her quite nicely. Possibly this is a little bit wide for her, but again, it's a denim jacket, it's not a fitted blazer. This feels quite big here, but again, there is the room, and I feel if I take it in here, it makes it an awful lot neater. And it's definitely too long. I know it's just definitely too long for what she wants. So, but that's not a biggie. The waist is sitting in the right place on the mannequin, which is really good as well. So just to shorten it, that's all I will probably do, is just take it off the end. And there's the band piece for the end as well. And again, I've walked that around the pattern and all the notches are matching up really nicely as well. So that's my thought at the moment. I'm quite happy that it's all pinned, and I feel it's not a bad fit at all. I think it's only going to take a little bit of tweaking. So I'm going to cut it out of some old leftover curtain fabric here, because this is actually quite similar in weight to the jacket, or the jacket fabric. And then before I do anything, I will try it on my daughter as well. But I think, yeah, I'm quite happy to make the toile out of this, and possibly we might only have to take in the side pieces. Now, it could be completely different when it's all sewn together, but I like this way of sort of assessing this pattern. And the mannequin never lets me down, so it's quite early in the morning and I won't see my daughter for a couple of hours, so at least I will have this ready for her to just try on by the time I see her. So that's where we are. The toile is put together in this beautiful stripy fabric. I've cut the seam allowance just off around the neck and around the arm, just so it gives me a better idea of how it's actually going to fit. So I know that basically now the sleeve is going to start from there. And the only thing I've done is I've taken an extra seam allowance down the side here, and it's just given it so much of a better fit. I've also turned up this amount because I think that's where it's going to finish, and then the band on it, but I'll know that better when I try it on my daughter. But yeah, I think it's actually fitting really nicely. It's got a lovely waistline in it. It's fitting nicely over the dress. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I like the width at the back here actually. And yeah, I don't actually think it's going to be too wide on her. So yeah, until she gets up later, it's still quite early, and then we'll try again. Now, so that was me at the very beginning stages of making the jacket, and I really had no idea what was going to actually fit her, because I'm used to looking at pattern pieces myself and I kind of have a good idea of whether something's going to fit me or not. Well, I've had a few disasters lately, but we won't think about those. But I had no idea. I thought when I saw the pieces for the size 8, it looked pretty good. So yeah, that's all I had to do. Was I took in the 2 side seams, just the width of the actual seam allowance, and that made it fine. So it's just a very small fitting jacket. So this is the 8 with just the side seams taken in a little bit. Definitely if I made myself one, I would have to make at least a 12, if not size up a little bit. And I'm usually a 10 in the style arc. So yeah, it's very small fitting. It's a lovely fitted jacket. So basically I did get her to try on the toile, and it fitted perfectly. It was great. She needed the width on the yoke, and we decided to do the contrasting fabric. So we used this lovely calf facet fabric. I'll just grab an end piece of it. So I had this fabric in my stash. We looked at a few different options and we came up with this one because it's got plenty of colours in it. And we were sort of thinking about what would she wear the jacket with, which is just basically anything and everything. And she's dying to wear it with this dress. So that fabric, I think, has colours of anything that she might wear it with in it. So I've put the fabric there on the facing, and I've put it on the back of the little pocket flaps and on the back of the collar. And then we're going to put it on the inside of the cuff. Now I just have the sleeve, it's just pinned. One of them just pinned. So we're going to put it in such a way that she can just fold it up and have like a little cuff, or leave it down and then fold it under if she doesn't want a cuff. So I'm really pleased. Came together really nicely. I haven't done a coordinating top stitch because she just didn't want it. I've just done a line of blue stitch. So I don't know if you can see that there, but I think it just highlights all the seams. I do really love the way the panels are, especially this one here in the middle, because it just goes in nicely and then out again. So overall, it's fitting really nicely. When the sleeve goes in, hopefully it'll just fit really well. And I'm thinking of possibly putting a line of the jeans buttons down the front, so the ones where you have to whack them in again. So yeah, we'll see. That one is up for discussion. So yeah, really enjoyed making this week for her, and she really likes it. So I think it's going to be really cute. She's going to get lots of wear out of that. And then that's all the rest of what happened this week was I've been looking for a little mini iron for ages. Now I've been thinking about it, and sometimes when I'm ironing I'm kind of thinking, oh, I must get a mini iron, and then I forget. So this week I had a look and I got this one from Amazon, and it's just a swan iron. It's actually got a steam option in it. I used it yesterday. It's really handy, just for getting in and around the little awkward places that the big iron is just too big. It's I think it said it's a dual wattage, so it is a travel iron, and yeah, really pleased with that. I think it was £14.50 and there was free postage, so that was a really nice one. It is quite heavy, but I suppose it's got all the mechanisms of a normal iron, and I think it's a 900 watt. So there was another one I was looking at, but it had a lower wattage, so I just assumed that a higher wattage would make it hotter, possibly. So anyway, that's the one I got. And while I was getting that, then I got an ironing sleeve board. And I had one of these years ago, and again, as I do something like a jacket, I think to myself, I must get one. So I popped that in the basket on Amazon as well, and I think I just had to wait a couple of days for them. Now I used that on the sleeve yesterday, and yeah, I think it's one of those things that I will wonder, what did I ever do without it? So yeah, it was a good week. They're my two buys this week. Made myself a top, made my daughter her jacket, and we have a fresh looking chair in the kitchen. So yeah, I'm happy. So I hope you're all keeping safe and well, and if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, just to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you'll notified whenever I upload a video. And I'm going to go outside now, and I am going to spray an abundance of weeds, because we've had the wonderful growing climate for weeds. So we've had a lot of rain over the last few days, and now we've had a good bit of sun, so our weeds are looking beautifully luscious. I wish my flowers and the shrubs looked as amazing, but yeah, so I'm going to go out and spray weeds for the day. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you all in next week's vlog. Bye bye for now.